Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. It's a battle at the bottom of the AFC West as the 3-6 Denver Broncos take on the 2-7 Raiders. Vegas losing its third straight game last Sunday to the Colts. Raiders QB Derek Carr threw for 248 yards and 2 TDs in that loss, and now he's facing a Denver Broncos team that's giving up just over 16 points per game. Getting a quick look at the current AFC West standings, Chiefs sitting atop of the division at 7-2, followed by the Chargers. And then at the bottom there, we have the Broncos and the Raiders dead last at 2-7. And taking a look at the 2023 NFL draft order, that is if the season ends today, the Raiders are up there with the number 2 pick, Texans with the number 1 pick, Panthers and Eagles at 3 and 4, and then the Jags rounding out the top 5. You can also check out Ryan Wilson's latest mock draft. We had some fun with that yesterday. It's over on cbssports.com. And let's bring in the man himself, Ryan Wilson, also a member of the Pick Six podcast, who is giving us his bold predictions for Week 11 in the NFL. Ryan, starting with Raiders-Broncos. The Raiders dominating this series in recent years, winning 5 straight against Denver. Vegas is a 3-point underdog. Ryan, what is your bold prediction for this one?
All right, Jacqueline, let's get crazy. So as we sit here, Max Crosby has 70% of the Raiders' sacks this season. 7 out of 10. Easy math there. I think he's going to more than get 50% more than that number against the Broncos. He's going to get 4 sacks against Denver and Russ Wilson. That's saying a whole lot. The good news for Max Crosby is that no one else on that team is going to come close to sacking anyone. Chandler Jones only has a half a sack. The next closest person is Denzel Perryman, the linebacker, who has a single sack. And again, as you mentioned, they have dominated somehow the Broncos in recent years. Russ Wilson isn't going to change that, and the bad news gets even worse for Denver, who fans no doubt are frustrated by the way Russ Wilson, this offense, has worked this season. Russ Wilson has been sacked 29 times. That's third in the NFL behind only Justin Fields and Joe Burrow. Denver has the 31st ranked offense according to the analytics site Football Outsiders. And while the Raiders have the worst defense, I think that Max Crosby single-handedly can overcome that. And the interesting thing is, Max had his highest sack total in 2019 as a rookie when he had 10. If he gets 4 this weekend, and that's the bold prediction, he will have exceeded his season-high sack total 11 weeks into the season. I think the Broncos are a prime candidate to help him get that number. Max Crosby is going to go off.
Okay, Ryan Wilson is saying, let's get crazy. Okay, I like that. For this next one, we're looking at the Jets and the Patriots. The history, Ryan, of young quarterbacks playing against Bill Belichick, I mean, honestly, it's not great. Zach Wilson, he's 0-3 in his career against the Patriots. Ryan, do you think he's going to break that streak come Sunday?
All right, so here's the thing. I'll start with this. Remember Robert Saleh said earlier this year he's keeping receipts on people who are not trusting the Jets, and then the Jets get red hot. That's the good news. Now, we got to get through a lot of bad to get to the rest of the punchline here that makes you feel better as a Jets fan. The Patriots have beaten the Jets 13 straight times. Again, not great. Also, no team, this is the good news, no team has has won 14 or more straight games versus an opponent since the Patriots did it against the Bills back in 2003. But I think the difference this time is going to be this. This team in New York feels a lot like the 2010 Jets team. And that's the last team to beat the Patriots, by the way, back when Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez were there, where you have a young quarterback, you lean on the running game, and you lean on the defense. That's how this Jets team has had success this season. They have the young playmakers on defense in Quinnen Williams and, of course, Sauce Gardner. On offense, they did lose Breece Hall, but they traded for James Robinson. They have Michael Carter Jr., who's coming off a good game last week. You mentioned the struggles that Zach Wilson has had against the Patriots, 0-3, 2 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, but I think they're going to lean on the run. They're going to pressure Mac Jones. In the game that these two teams played back just before Halloween, 22-17, there were 6 field goals in that game, so it wasn't like the Patriots ran away. And I think the game plan is going to be, like I mentioned, run the ball, limit the mistakes by Zach Wilson, and let your defense generate those turnovers and hassle Mac Jones. Now, the only other concerning issue, and along to the 15 I just previously mentioned, Bill Belichick coming off a bye, he's 15-7. So that's also something you have to keep into consideration. But I'm rolling with Robert Saleh. He's keeping receipts, so I trust him. I think the Jets are going to pull this one out and break that streak of 13 straight losses.
Yeah, that picture of the Jets fan that we always show with the football on his head, it just kills me, like, every single time. All right, so the Buffalo Bills dropped to 3rd place in the AFC East this week. Bills-Browns game, it's moved to Detroit because of that crazy thunder snow wind. We showed all the pictures at the top of the show. Canceled team practice because of the weather. So it's already been Just like eventful already, Ryan. So give us another bold prediction for this matchup.
I have an extra bold prediction. I'm sort of upset that CBS Sports HQ didn't send Brandon and Tommy out to cover the snow because I know how much they love snow. Tommy's a little better about it than Brandon. Brandon ain't messing around when it gets below 65 degrees. So I'm sorry that didn't happen. Perhaps that's a bold prediction for later. But the bold prediction for this time, and it doesn't even feel like it's bold, they're going to beat the Browns. That's not bold. They're going to do it by 3 scores because here's the concern. In each of the Bills' last 3 losses, they've lost to teams, who have a combined record of 21-7. And all those losses have been by 3 points or less. They lost to the Vikings, of course, last week, and they've lost to the Dolphins and to the Jets. But the teams that they're beating, and they've beaten some good teams, they're beating them by combined 18 points. That includes a 21-point win over the Rams, a 34-point win over the Titans. They smoked the Steelers by 35, and I think that the Browns are going to be a speed bump in Detroit that gets in the way of the Bills getting back on track. We haven't heard anything about Josh Allen's elbow, so hopefully he's back on his way to full health there. Look, they played well enough to win last week. That was just one of those demoralizing Bills losses that only the Bills can pull off. And I think they take their frustrations out on the Cleveland Browns here. And also worth noting, Jacqueline, the Bills haven't scored in the second half or overtime a touchdown in each of the last 3 games. That's going to change again this weekend in Detroit when they run up the score on the Browns.
All right, and moving along to the Vikings. They're at home after a huge win over the Bills last week. We talked about it. Minnesota on a 7-game winning streak. Now, Ryan, do you think they have a slip-up game here, or do they just continue that momentum against the Cowboys?
They're going to keep it rolling. Like I would do the Kirk Cousins dance right now to signify that, but I don't feel comfortable doing that in front of other people. Kirk's a different story. Yeah, no, they're going to keep it rolling. And the issue with the Vikings there's Pat B doing it a little better. The issue with the Vikings, of course, there it is. They've been winning these close games. Last year in 1-score games, they were 6-8. They finished with 8 wins, missed the playoffs. This year, new coach, new GM, same personnel otherwise for the most part, starring Kirk Cousins. As you mentioned, they're 8-1. And they've won 7 straight games, all by those 1 possessions. I think they make it 8 straight with another 1-possession win, this time over the Cowboys. And here's the other thing to keep in mind. We talk about how there's such a slim margin between winning and losing in the NFL, especially in these 1-score games. Last year, when they had those 14 1-score games, the point differential for the Vikings was -1. This year, at 8-1, it's +35. So I think that continues. I think the Vikings are well on their way to proving people wrong, myself included. And by the way, the last time a team won 7 straight games all by 1 possession, the Kansas City Chiefs in 2020, they went to the Super Bowl. So maybe that's a good omen for the Vikings as they beat the Cowboys, giving the Cowboys their 2nd straight loss.
Yeah, the last 6 games between those teams have been decided by 4 points or fewer. That is our NFL insider, Ryan Wilson, giving us his bold predictions in Week 11 of the NFL. Maybe Ryan will do the Kirk Cousins dance with all the chains after they win.
Pull it off.
Yeah, he can definitely pull it off. We'll check back in with him. You can also hear Ryan on the Pick 6 podcast. In the very latest episode, the guys are recapping the Thursday Night Football matchup between the Titans and the Packers. Pretty cold there. Not like Buffalo cold, but it was still cold, Tommy.
Yeah.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.